Hey, everyone. Happy today to all of my fundraising friends, fellow nonprofit nerds, data geeks, all the things. Happy today, happy Thursday. So today's Thursdays for I don't know if for those of you that don't know, Thursday is my power day. So I was born on a Thursday, and I embrace every Thursday as a power day. So Thursdays are one of my favorite. Is my favorite day of the week, to be quite honest. But excited and grateful to be going live today. So I'm going live a little bit earlier than I had been, but that's okay. I'm going live earlier today because today is the third Thursday, and so it is the day for the January Professor Prospect pop-up session. So it's a virtual session where you're able to join me for 30 minutes, drop-in session, bring your questions about fundraising and prospect development, fundraising strategy, fundraising engagement, etc., and we can dive into that. I typically, it's only been a few times so far. It's a new sort of an experiment, testing some things out. But typically, so far, I've been preparing about 10 minutes of content, but then opening it up. I open it up from there for questions and group discussion and interaction. So today, I titled this video, the stream, the number one rule of fundraising. Part of the title is because today in our pop-up session, one of the things that I'm going to revisit, and I talked about in one of my recent lives, is belief. You Better Believe was the title of that one. But revisiting the idea of belief, because belief continues to be a challenge for my fundraising friends across the spectrum, across the scope of size, mission, impact, infrastructure, resources, budget, etc. Across all of that, what continues to be a consistent thread is belief. Organizations are individuals, fundraisers, professionals, founders, executives, etc., leaders will say, well, of course, I believe in my organization, but yet belief continues to show up as an obstacle to their fundraising success. And so today in the Professor Prospect pop-up session, I want to dive into that a little bit. And you've heard me talk about that in different ways. Like I said, I addressed it in a recent live. If you were at the symposium, the Data Donors Dollars Symposium, Data Donors Dollars, the symposium, back in November, on November 1st, if you were there, then you participated in a belief exercise. And so we dove into that a bit deeper around how belief impacts the success of your campaign, your fundraising campaigns. And in fact, in November, Jody Bopp and I did a presentation at the Columbus Metropolitan Library for the Ohio Association of Nonprofit Organizations. Did a presentation called, the name escapes me right now. Oh my goodness, I'm so embarrassed. Don't hurt me, Jody. The name will come to me. I have it written down. It will From Zero to Campaign. Thank you, self. From Zero to Campaign. And we've done a case study for like taking an organization from $0 to a multi-million-dollar campaign, successful campaign within 5 years. And so within that presentation, we get into belief again. And so the belief, I continue to come back to this. So I wanted to revisit it, and we will revisit it in the pop-up session, along with whatever questions come up from the audience or from the attendees today. So really wanted to come back to that. So I've talked about the belief, but going back to the title of this live, the number one rule of fundraising, the way that I'm tying that into the title, and the reason that ties into the title is because going back to the number one rule of fundraising, which is make the ask. And so I've had conversations with really experienced fundraisers where, and I'm guilty of this as well, where the idea of, the number one rule of fundraising is make the ask. Well, of course it is. And oftentimes it seems a bit trite to bring that out. But the way that I see disbelief show up more often than not, at like a fundamental level, is this sort of people sort of asking for permission, or asking, is it okay for me to ask for a major gift? Is it okay? And not even major gifts. So I don't want anyone to like kind of dismiss this and be like, well, that's a major gift thing. I don't have that problem. Um, you should have a major gift thing going on. But this idea of, can I ask for this money? Should I ask for this money? Is it okay for me to ask for donations? Will I be in trouble with, I don't know who, I don't know who would be the police, or like the nonprofit police. I don't know who you would be in trouble with. But, and I'm kind of poking fun just a little bit here to make light of it, but I know that this is very real. I have so many communications, so many conversations around this, and it always ultimately comes back to this. I'll do a presentation, I'll do a one on one with an individual or even a team. It doesn't matter. And then it will eventually come back to, like, after I do all the presentation, after we go through some data, after we talk about the power of data, after we identify very easy action items that they can implement, immediate action items that can be implemented, there eventually comes a point in the conversation, in the workshop, in the training, in the presentation, whatever the platform may be, there eventually comes a point where the group gets a bit quiet, as I kind of get quiet and wait to hear, like, what are the objections? What do we feel like is stopping us from moving forward in any of these ways? What are some very real internal challenges that might impact our forward motion and momentum? Let's talk about that. And there's always a point when, again, it gets a bit quiet. There's usually a hush before this question gets posed to me. But then there will be a brave soul, especially if there's a group. There's usually like one brave soul, or if it's an individual, eventually they get to this point. And again, it's the same thing. There's this little bit of a hush. They get a little bit quiet, and then it's, am I allowed to ask for $50,000? Is it okay for me to ask people to give me $50? Am I allowed to do this? Does it make me look bad when I ask for money to support my organization? And that's where the belief, the disbelief comes to the surface. And it's not a disbelief necessarily about the meaningfulness, the impact, the worthiness of your organization. Because so many of us as community leaders and advocates and change makers and path breakers and all the things, so many of us definitely, passionately, selflessly believe in the mission of our organizations. But there is some other belief that we have to, or misbelief, that we have to confront and move past, confront, name, and move past in order to really believe and walk in our organizations being prepared to receive major gift support. Not even major, I tend to default to major gift talk, but not even major gift support. Annual fund support, investment from the community, investment not just from some anonymous corporation, but investment from individuals, investment from people in your community, investment probably, possibly, yes, definitely from the people that you serve, the people that are grateful for your impact. So that's belief is so important. And over the last couple of years, but especially the last year, doing some of the programming and the training, and even just last week doing a presentation at the Columbus Metropolitan Library to kick off a new partnership with them for this year. I presented the session, a workshop called Back to the Basics, Winning Fundraising Strategies. And so, even within that session, confronting some of those same things. Again, giving the presentation, sharing some really easy action items, etc., but then coming back to that and belief. Can I do this? Am I allowed to do this? And so I am very, very interested in exploring that space and sort of poking the bear, as it were, to help us as leaders, as advocates, as change makers, to help us move past some of the limitations that we have on ourselves and therefore have on our organizations. And oftentimes these are limitations that we just don't even recognize and don't know that are there until we have an opportunity to get some more information, learn something new, etc., and then confront like some of our assumptions. So that is the number one rule of fundraising. Like you can't get away from, yes, for those of us that have been in this work for 20, 30 years, yes, it does seem a bit trite at times. It does seem a bit basic, but there is value in always going back to the basics, most especially as there's like a generational shift within the nonprofit sector, most especially as we know that many of seasoned nonprofit professionals are retiring and approaching the age and have already begun to approach the age of retirement and leave the industry in that way. And then at the same time, we know that during the pandemic, we know that organizations closed down. We know here in Central Ohio, where I am, our local association of fundraising professionals, our local chapter certainly experienced a dip in membership because some of our members, our colleagues, uh, lost jobs, organizations shut down, organizations trimmed down and eliminated jobs. So colleagues, friends and colleagues, either left the profession is the point that I'm making. So people are retiring out. During the pandemic, we had a huge, I won't say huge, but we certainly had a tangible and measurable decline and shift out of the professional fundraising profession. And I know that the local AFP chapter is not the only chapter that experienced that. And so, along with that, we just also always have a new generation of employees entering the workforce. And so, they just don't come with the 20 to 30 years experience. So, interested in always, always, always kind of reminding myself here more recently that the basics are necessary. And so really wanting to get into that number one rule of fundraising, which is make the ask. But then that gets into the belief. So I would love to have you join. There's still time to join the today's Prospect pop-up session. It starts in 1 hour, and so I'm trying something new. These lives are new experiments for me, so I'm trying something new with the experiment today. And I believe that I put the registration links in the description. we'll see if that how that works. I'm so curious to see how that works on the final end of things. And I appreciate and love everyone that has supported me through my live experiments. I really appreciate the support and the encouragement, like the comments and the direct messages, the like inboxes, and that type of thing, the DMs. Uh, so I really appreciate that. And so I am definitely over my 15 minutes. That was fun, but I'm not done yet. So I also really want to talk about an event that I'm hosting on Monday, January 20th. It's called There Will Be Joy. And so this is something that I decided to do really at the last minute, or I should say, I decided to do it a few months ago, some weeks ago now, after the election. Um, and just kind of dismissed it. I was like, man, I got other things to do. Why it's not necessary, all the things. It's, I don't need to do that, all the things. And then my favorite first lady said no thank you. So it felt like the universe sort of giving me a nudge, like, don't forget what you said you wanted to do as well. So here we are. So I'm hosting There Will Be Joy on Monday, January 20th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. And this is really just my way to create some space for my sister friends, my fellow sisters in the nonprofit, not even just in the nonprofit sector, for my sister friends all over the world that want something else to do, something else to think about, something else to hear about and listen to on Monday, January 20th. Just before the noon hour. So I am again creating this space. I'm going to, I plan on I've sort of defined it as a celebration of, I think a celebration of, I don't even know the name of my own event. A celebration of legacy and philanthropy. So definitely a, celebration of philanthropy. I'll just go there. I plan on focusing on the power of Black philanthropy, most especially talking about the power of Black philanthropy for Black women, and just really spending time in celebration and upliftment of Black women as spirits, as having a human experience, as beings, as human beings here, as as leaders, as professionals, and as philanthropists, as community leaders, as change agents, as advocates, as the tip of the spear, as we most often are. And so really interested in just holding space for us, and that is There Will Be Joy on Monday, January 20th. And we'll start at 11:30 a.m. And we'll be there, just feeling good about ourselves, for each other, with each other. So I invite you to join me for that and to sit in on that. And if I did my job correctly, the registration link for There Will Be Joy is also in the description. So we'll see. I think that is what I have. I'm almost at 20 minutes. I am technically, some of you know, I am technically on sabbatical, on extended holiday sabbatical, but yet, but yet still doing things like this, and still doing, so I'm on sabbatical, but I'm still doing some things like this, some standing activities, and also really excited to see the energy that's going on in my inbox while I'm on sabbatical, as it were. And so the new introductions, the new partnerships, the new opportunities, the new, all the things. If you're in my inbox, then you kind of know what I'm talking about. But all of that energy, and it's interesting to me. It's not lost on me that that energy is coming in while I'm away on sabbatical, as it were. So I appreciate that. Really excited about that. Eager to get started with some other things coming up when I return when I return to the office. Well, I'm in the office right now. But I'm on sabbatical. But like, look, I'm like physically. Let me go this way. I'm physically in my office. Um, so it's an interesting sabbatical, but it's one that I am enjoying. So thank you to everyone that has continued to send in encouragement, continuing to reach out, continuing to generate energy in my inbox. And so really, really grateful for that. So I look forward to seeing, and so I can chat all day, but I'll be chatting now in about 45 minutes. I'll be chatting again at today's Professor Prospect pop-up session. You can register for that. It's free, but you need to register, and you can register others. It's monthly, every third Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, and you can register, get it on your calendar. Um, and then on Monday, January 20th, if you want something else to do on Monday, January 20th, join us, join me. I'll be there kind of hanging out. I do have some things I'm going to share, but it's not like this whole extensive, like it's a free event. It's not like this super extensive, like curated program, etc. It's space for us to come together, for some of us to come together and, hold space for ourselves, for each other, and think about something else on that day. So I invite you and welcome you to There Will Be Joy if you're interested in joy for Monday. So this was fun as usual. Thank you, everyone, for your support. Peace.